Why, hello, beautiful. My dogs are hungry! I'm not wearing hockey pads. I thought my jokes were bad. Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne. Hit me! My insides hurt! Where are they? Give it to me. You live, you die. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Has Project. I'm John Ordolaza, and today we're continuing on the Batman movie review marathon going on the channel, all in the lead up to Robert Pattinson's The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, and we've made a pit stop to Christopher Nolan town, and today we're talking about The Dark Knight, a film that came out in 2008, so let's get into it. The Dark Knight, am I right? I mean, this is one of the most talked about comic book films of all time. It transcends the comic book genre, and it's its own thing. It's so well done in every aspect, so let's dive more into it. So once again, this is Christopher Nolan at his best. I've seen the majority of his films, not a whole lot. There's still like 4 of them probably that I haven't seen, but at this point, he's so good at his craft, man. Like, this is a well-directed film, from cinematography to scene by scene. When you see these incredible actors being directed by this guy, you can tell there is love behind that camera for this project. And going into the actors now, Christian Bale as Batman / Bruce Wayne is even better in this movie, albeit he does introduce the more raspier version of his Batman voice, which I don't have an issue with up until like a couple of scenes where they're supposed to be talking a little bit more somberly, and that voice just doesn't translate well in like an inside voice. It's more of an outside voice if you ask me, but whenever you have to do to your voice to get it there, like you need to be talking loudly, because if you're whispering, it's gonna sound a little weird sometimes, and it's gonna sound muffled. And unfortunately, there's a couple of scenes where I think his voice could have improved, and it could have been more akin to what we got in Batman Begins. With that being said, I'm gonna stop because there's nothing else to complain about with this movie. I wouldn't say flawless, because every movie has its flaws, but it's damn near close. Even as a kid, not fully grasping the weight behind all of the politics in this movie and all the police, some of them being corrupt, working for the mob and all that, like none of that really resonated with me growing up watching it. But it didn't stop me from watching this movie like 20 times growing up. And as great as Christian Bale is, and I've talked enough about him already, I don't feel like I need to waste any more time talking about him because he's phenomenal in the movie. But someone who kind of, in my opinion, outshines him, and I don't think this is just my opinion, I feel like a lot of people share this, Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, everyone probably thinks that he steals the show. I know he steals the show, because he does. He absolutely crushes his role. I've only seen Heath Ledger in a couple of things. A Knight's Tale, I really like that movie. He plays a totally different character in that movie, and this just shows how great of an actor he was, man. He was able to do something a little bit on the goofy side, like A Knight's Tale, have a little bit of edge to him, but ultimately it was in a slightly goofy but very fun movie. And here he gets to play this character that no one ever thought he could play. I mean, people say how they just did not see Heath Ledger for this role. He was not right for it, and they didn't think he could pull it off. And generally speaking, those are the type of people who will pull it off. Well, sometimes, because then you have Jesse Eisenberg playing whoever the hell he was playing in Batman v Superman / Justice League, and he delivered a performance just as you expected. Doing a lot of these rewatches for movies that I grew up with and have watched numerous times, I sometimes feel like I'm probably not going to walk away with anything. I might not feel engaged to pay attention because, oh, I've seen it before, blah, 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 here's my phone. But I was not like that with The Dark Knight. No, I was enthralled for the entire time watching this movie. I haven't seen it in maybe a good 5 or so years. It's been a while. So I really wanted to pay attention and probably catch up on things that I never really caught up on, because again, I grew up with this film and all of the politics and stuff. If it wasn't Batman and Joker on screen, little me didn't really give a shit. But I found a new appreciation for this movie because I do understand more of the deeper meanings within this film and all the other things that the supporting cast is going through. I already cared about Commissioner Gordon, and I followed along his path and his storyline, but all the other stuff, dude, with the other police officers and the mob bosses, dude, this movie is just filled with very interesting scenes back to back, and this is the stuff that we clamor for in movies today. Not only a great story between the the title characters, but also for the supporting cast, because the supporting cast 9 times out of 10 will get lost in the shuffle and will seem like they're loosely connected to the main plot while also having a half-baked storyline on the side. All of this story in The Dark Knight feels fleshed out, and it all feels important, and there's dedicated scenes in this movie that get you to care about everything that's going on. And I kind of got choked up in a couple of scenes when the police officers come to Gordon's wife to tell her that he died, and she just starts bawling, dude. Batman's just chilling in the back, and he feels responsible for it. Dude, like, I don't know why that got to me, because I've seen it so many times, but now, like, with my new lens, after watching so many movies and critiquing them in front of a camera, I'm able to dissect movies in a much different way that I've never been able to before, and I feel like I just unlocked this part of me that like resonates with everybody in this movie. That's why so many other scenes hit me very differently this time around with The Dark Knight, especially the scene when Rachel and Harvey Dent are tied up on chairs inside rooms filled with oil drums in 2 different locations, and Batman seeks out to find Rachel because that's his love. He doesn't give 2 about Harvey Dent, and he opens the door and it turns out Joker gave him the wrong addresses, switched him. And now he's got to save Harvey Dent because, well, he can't just leave. Like, he's got like 30 seconds, not even. He's got to just take the dude and save him. And there were already cracks up until this point in the character of Harvey Dent, how he was slowly breaking, and you can see that there's some flaws in his character. He's not the perfect white knight that they were like kind of building him up to be in the beginning of the movie. And in this moment, it really it really hits you, dude. He could not save the woman he loves, and neither could Batman. And I felt for both of them in this scene at the exact same time. And it only made it more emotional to have the camera focus on Rachel as Harvey Dent is screaming through the phone. Man, and then it just blows up and she's gone, and that hit me hard. And you know what? If it wasn't for the writing, the directing, and the amazing actor, everybody probably would have thought that they rushed Two-Face in this movie, because he does kind of show up at the end, like here he is, he's just here. But it's because they weren't afraid to shy away from Batman in a couple of scenes, tell an engaging story for other characters, because you can do that in a movie while also not taking the spotlight away from your title character. And never once did I feel like the spotlight was taken away from Batman and that, oh, we're not getting enough Batman in here. Granted, I would love to see a lot of Batman, but I love what they did with everybody else when they shied away from Batman. They focused heavily on Harvey Dent's descent into madness, and everything at the end feels earned, and it feels like it's fulfilling this story that they were telling. I really loved Harvey Dent's character this time around, and it's just tragic to see where he ends up, dude. He becomes this relentless killer. Like, he relies on a flip of a coin to decide if someone stays alive or not, and if that's not psychotic, I don't know what is. This is also the Batman's toughest challenge yet. He's going up against the Clown Prince of Crime, who claims to not have a plan, but he 100% has a plan. That just plays into how great this iteration of the Joker was, dude. Yeah, it's a deviation from what the comics known the Joker for. It's very different from Jack Nicholson's Joker. It's a little bit more deranged and psychotic, but I love it, dude. Man, the mind games that he plays with Batman in here, when he's getting punched in that interrogation room, that interrogation scene alone is like amazing. It's gold, dude. I love everything about that scene. And when he's getting interrogated, punched left and right, all he's doing is laughing, and he doesn't get the information beaten up out of him. He decides to give Batman a little tidbit like, oh, here's this address and here's that address. He did not earn that. Batman was gifted that information. And yeah, what can I say? Supporting cast is really great. Gary Oldman back as James Gordon. Awesome character. I love him. Michael Caine as Alfred. Again, really great, really resourceful. Same thing with Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. They serve generally the same purpose as they did in the first movie, just more. You do get a little interesting tidbit with Lucius Fox and Batman, how Batman gives him access to this giant sonar system that controls access to all phones in the town, and Lucius Fox feels so uncomfortable doing that. Like, this is too much power for one person. And basically, like, he says, I will resign after doing this. And he's like, when you finish, type in your name. And man, even though I know how this movie ends, it still sends shivers throughout my entire body, dude. Batman gets shot. I knew he wasn't dead, but I just had a feeling that, you know, what if he doesn't get up? Like, I always think that. What if he doesn't get up? What if that coin drops back in Harvey Dent's hand and it lands on kill kid and he kills the kid? Like, what if that happens? But no, he gets tackled. He gets speared off of the ledge. Harvey Dent dies. It's a very tragic ending for this character who was on the right path. He was on the path of being the hero that Gotham deserved, and fortunately nobody got to see what transpired at the end of this movie. Nobody knows that Harvey Dent is this guy. They don't know that he's done these terrible things. And after Batman saves Gordon's kid, he goes back down to Harvey Dent's body, turns his head so that the burnt side is not facing the light, you know. He says, Gotham needs a true hero. And Batman ultimately tells Gordon that he's going to take the blame for all of the bad things that Harvey Dent's done so that everyone can still believe in this character of Harvey Dent. And dude, that's deep. That's powerful. Like, why would you do that? The one thing that this Bruce Wayne was living for was a relationship to end his life with Rachel Dawes, the woman that he loved. And now that she's gone, he's got nothing to live for at this point. So he has no problem taking the fall. He really doesn't. And he saw the potential in Harvey Dent, and he saw that he didn't want to become this. The Joker corrupted him, dude. And man, that scene in the hospital, dude. There's so many scenes. The scene in the hospital with Joker kind of turning Harvey Dent, dude. It was... Dude, also, really big shout out to Heath Ledger for walking away from that giant hospital explosion that was 100% practical. They blew up a real hospital and he was really walking away from it. That's awesome. Once again, James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer are back writing the score for this movie, and I have no doubt James Newton Howard is great alone. I can't think at the top of my head any movies he's done by himself. Unbreakable, actually, my bad, one of my favorite movies. The score in here just amplifies every single scene and every single action sequence. The action here is pretty good too. It's not my favorite action in a movie, honestly. Christopher Nolan may not be the top tier director for action, but he knows what's best for his story. I can appreciate just about everything on the side of filmmaking when it comes to this movie, with one exception. There's probably one more gripe. There's some scenes in this movie that are filmed in IMAX cameras, and I just wish that he shot the whole thing in one way. Pick one. That trend does not stop with Christopher Nolan. He does that quite often in his other movies too. So guys, I'm going to end my discussion for The Dark Knight here because I've gone on too long, and I could easily talk about this movie for even longer. There are things that I missed, but hopefully in the future I can make another video talking about The Dark Knight because there is way more discussion to be had with this movie. So leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be sure to stick around because I'm currently covering the Peacemaker DC series on HBO Max. We have one episode left. You can go check out my reviews for the last 7. Also, we just wrapped up the Book of Boba Fett. The show, all right. some really dope episodes in Star Wars in general, just really dope Star Wars stuff. But overall, you don't have to watch the Boba Fett show, but if you're a big fan of The Mandalorian and you're clamoring for season 3, this will give you a little something. It's a little appetizer, if you will. So be sure to stick around next week because I will be reviewing The Dark Knight Rises. We're finishing off the Christopher Nolan trilogy with a bang, and it's The Dark Knight Rises. Also a film I have not seen in years, so it'll be fun to rewatch it. I've seen it quite a bit when it first came out, so it'll be really fun to revisit that. You might want to stick around, guys, because there's a bunch of content coming to the channel, and there's always more to come.